Hell yeah. Hell yeah. What's up? Welcome to this fine Friday edition. It's cold, slightly behind schedule. Emphasis on cold, but also fine. This fine Friday edition of BS would be honest is me. What's up, world? What's up, YouTube? What's up, everybody? I'm Nikki Be Honest. This is my little YouTube morning talk show. BS would be honest. Here on YouTube, live on YouTube on this fine Friday morning. The whole premise of this is I'll wake up and I'll take a nice walk. I'll walk and I'll ponder. I'll read some good stuff. I'll talk to the people. You guys are my people. Anyone who finds this, stumbles upon this, otherwise listens to this, watches me run my mouth a little bit in the morning time. Yeah, and I'm done here. I'll go lift some weights, go to work, go about my business. On a Friday, there's a political radio show I like, or at least I used to like. The Wilkow Majority. Andrew Wilkow. When I was getting into radio, when I was getting into being a Republican, whatever, I listened to, there's a period of my life I listened to a lot of talk radio on Sirius XM, Patriot Channel. And they have the standard Fox News people, Hannity's got his big program on there. Mark Levin's got his big program on there. Breitbart's got their big program on there. I never heard of Andrew Wilkow. But I like Andrew Wilkow and his tagline. It's Friday. We don't back down. We don't slow down. We don't put the brakes for nothing. We go on full steam forward. I like that. I always like that energy. It's a Friday. Why slow down? Why it's the weekend. It's the weekend. Well, not for me because I work Saturdays. Weekend implies 2 days off, which I don't have, and many of us don't. Many of us do, but that's all good. It's just one of those things I think about. It always stuck out with me. It's Friday. We don't back down. We go full steam ahead. Nice. Something else he always said, he would tagline his show. He would head it off. I'm Andrew Wilkow. This is the Wilkow Majority. Was it an American first, conservative second, Republican third? Something like that, which is important in the ideological domains and realms of all these things. Are you a Republican before you're an American? Are you a conservative before you're an American? That doesn't sound to me. And that ties in with all the identity thoughts, all the identities of thinkings. What takes precedence? What are you first? Are you party over country, or are you country over party? One of those things, as as the whole world is melting down, I've been on that, like I've been talking about, I've been on that Operator Standard app, which is the new Andy Frisella app. It's called Operator Standard. I've been really enjoying it. It's been keeping me very, very busy to the point that I haven't even really been on my typical doom scrolling or social media consumption trip. I just haven't really been scrolling through Instagram when I have a couple moments to impulsively, spontaneously pull my phone out and just do. I haven't really been doing that. I've been fucking around on the Operator Standard, which is great because that thing gives you to-do lists every day. What Andy calls the power list. 5 critical tasks to move you closer to your goals every day. So, for example, if one of mine is, if the AI generates a goal for me, or if it's even my own goal that I type in has to get done, therefore it's critical. But if I got a couple minutes where ordinarily I'd look up, nothing, I would just go to YouTube or fucking Instagram. Instagram's my drug of choice when it comes to social media. Just scrolling, looking at all the memes and reels and whatever, It's fun. It's honest entertainment, but taken to the extreme, obviously, it's bad. So I just pull out the Operator Standard app instead. It's like, all right, here's your thing for today. Research LLC requirements. So boom, I can just start looking that up instead. It's redirecting my neural pathways, my dopamine systems. Yeah, it's been really cool. One of the other things it has on there is like challenges. So the first challenge I picked, the first hard mode challenge at least, I picked it put me on to do 100 body squats, 100 push-ups, and that 2-minute plank every day for 3 days. Do it when you can, but do it over the day. Has to get done. You do the challenge, you get XP, you get ranked higher, and you're doing real world shit to fucking win the game. Kicks ass, I think. But then the second hard mode challenge is to read 50 pages of a nonfiction, critically engaging, relatively difficult book. So the past couple days, in between all the other things I already do, you gotta sit down and read. 75 hard gives you the rule for 75 hard is 10 pages a day. And that is specifically with personal development, self help, so on and so forth, like different genres. This one had, just the way I read it was just basic nonfiction, but it has to be engaging. It has to be kind of difficult, something heady, something maybe not academic language, but something to make you think, something important. My mind immediately went to my stash of history books. So I've been reading this book called American Gospel, John Meacham, which is more or less just a pretty detailed discussion of how religion has been used or not used in the American public sphere going back to the pre-revolution times, the colony times, the fucking Anglican. Just as a quick example, it just talks about all that kind of stuff. How the Anglican Church would have mandated fucking punishable, if not partaken in, like church services, and analyzing how the power of the bishops would function in the colonial states and the whole ratification constitution process and the founding fathers. Here's Jefferson's opinions on it. He was a deist. He didn't really outwardly name the God of the Bible. He used nature's God. And this is how it's really interesting stuff. This is how George Washington invoked God for any purpose. Here's how Lincoln did it. Here's how MLK did it. Really interesting. The separation of church and state. Is America a religious state? Is it a Christian fascist empire? Whatever these fools are talking about in the public domain, I have largely been not partaking in, at least this week. I've been getting after it, man. I've been getting after it, getting some, which is far more important and more invigorating on a Friday, where we don't slow down, we don't back down, we go full steam ahead. Fucking A right. Fucking A right. And even thinking about that ties into one of my readings from this morning. Let me take a sip of coffee from this demo attempt. Still working on merch. Heavy blues metal coffee mug. People like coffee mugs, right? If I made some coffee mugs, you motherfuckers want to buy them? Holler at me. But I got to get there first. In any event, let me take a sip. As we watch the outside world do crazy outside world things, I like to think the inside world needs to be tended to first, which is the gist of most of the things that I talk about in here. This is from the daily John Maxwell Daily Reader by John C. Maxwell, December 12th, a fine December 12th. He says, look for courage inside, not outside yourself. During the Great Depression, Thomas Edison delivered his last public message. In it, he said, my message to you is, be courageous. I have lived a long time. I have seen history repeat itself again and again. I have seen many depressions in business. Always, America has come out stronger and more prosperous. Be as brave as your fathers before you. Have faith. Go forward. Edison knew that when we experience fear, we must be willing to move forward. That is an individual decision. Courage starts internally before it is displayed externally. Yeah, I like that. Thank you for that bit of wisdom today, Mr. Maxwell. Courage, like all other character qualities, comes from within. It begins as a decision we make and grows as we make the choice to follow through. That's some truth on a Friday. It's all about making a good decision, follow through, live it out. He ends it with saying, have the courage to first fight the battles that come from within. Yeah, man, which means fuck all that dumb shit out there. And how that translates to me is how, I'm doing this. I'm out here sharing a little bit a few times a week, man, of things that I'm finding helpful, things that I'm finding useful, And I think coupling the mental and intellectual and academic pursuits with like lifting and just straight up hard work. I was out late. I was out late last night doing a bunch of good stuff. I had to fucking go get a jam session in since I missed it Tuesday because of work. Had to go get that jam session in and learn these songs for this new band I'm in. So I didn't get home till fucking 1:30, 1:45. Very, very difficult to get out of bed in the morning. And if I'm being honest, that is one of, if not me, the biggest hurdle that I need to overcome right now. Just being excellent, displaying excellence, following through on excellence in the waking hours. Some cats say that's the hardest thing in the world there is. If that's the hardest thing, it should just be so simple. It should just be so simple. Grab your nuts and get the fuck up. But for some reason, it's elusive. And it's one of those things I recognize as getting in my way. But I'd rather have that be the driving issue in my life than, oh my God, can you believe what Candace Owens is saying about Erica Kirk and how blah, 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 blah. It's a lot of fuckery out there. High level fuckery with potentially high level implications. But what can we, well, as collect? Well, that's a great question. That's the great question of civic engagement, is it not? What's Donald Trump out there doing? What are these nefarious state actors doing out there? What can we do about it? We the people. We the people. What are you first? What are you second? What are you third? First and foremost, we're individuals. I believe that we need to orient ourselves right. We need to do the right things. Get ourselves right before we can make any kind of fucking real difference. If I'm fucking still struggling at getting up on time in the morning, and I'm doing better than I ever done in my whole life, but it's not where I want to be, then how the fuck can I say a damn thing about going to storm a Capitol? People like that make me sick. It's like the disgusting oaf in a MAGA hat complaining about everything else. It's like, bro, you can't run a mile. I can't run a mile, so I should pump the football if I could. But better than that dude can. Better than this artificially constructed gelatinous mess raging how we need to make America great and take our country back. It's like, bro, you need to take your motherfucking self back first. But I digress. That also tied with something that I did find on the social medias in a quick morning perusal scroll. I don't even know who this is. Elias behind enemy lines. I don't know. I just found this. I thought it was interesting. He says, "Stop making emotional rebellion for intellectual depth. Stop mistaking emotional rebellion for intellectual depth." He says that Nietzsche died alone after mental collapse. He proposed marriage to the same woman who kept rejecting him. Loser. Sartre drowned himself in drugs and paranoia. He treated the women around him like disposable test subjects. Foucault destroyed his own body through hedonism. Academia now worships him as a moral authority. Schopenhauer spent his life preaching about the human condition. He died alone with his dog. Marx built a philosophy for the working man, yet he never worked and lived off everyone around him. Camus wrote about the absurdity of life. Affairs and alcohol hollowed him out long before the car crash finished him. Rousseau lectured the world on virtue. He abandoned all 5 of his children at founding hospitals. Hume dismantled faith for sport. He left behind no family, no legacy, and nothing but doubt. All these intellectuals were absolute losers, entitled degenerates who have been glorified by people who hate you in order to destroy you and your family. Not wrong, Mr. Elias, behind enemy lines. This random thing that I found on the internet this morning. Empty intellectualism, yeah, it's that fine line, man. It's that fine line we all walk. That fine line in all things. That fine line in all things, which is something I was also just talking to one of my buddies about. Ego lifting. Because, if you know me on my Instagram, at Ayo, it's Benny Hannas. Every day I put that fucking Instagram story up. Black and white filter, picture of the weights or gym or whatever, with some metal playing. And I just say one thing. I say lift. Lift. That's right. Keep it simple. Lift. Now, yesterday I had a big ass fucking heavy squat on there. 505 pounds on that safety rack with a decline bench functioning as the box. And yes, Kenny, I did pause at the bottom and I fucking got it. So my boy, one of my homies hit me up. He's like, damn, that's giant. Like, good for you, dude. And I'm always appreciative of that. I'm like, fuck yeah, man. Thank you, sir. Chasing it, chasing the dream. And then he said, we started just chatting a little bit. And he said, at one point, he got himself a strain and decided that ego lifting isn't important. And I'm thinking, yeah, there's a bit of ego involved. This is a pretty deep discussion that I only have a couple minutes to wax and wane on. Ego's a weird thing for me, you know? So I'm like, well, how would you define ego lifting? I'm just curious because I've been accused of that. Recently, I've been accused of that, as a matter of fact. Stop ego lifting. And I don't know that it's that simple. He says, his answer was basically trying to push myself beyond what's prudent. And I like that, but that's all. He's an athlete. The dude was a fucking good athlete. He's another sober guy, you know, but he was playing sports all throughout college. So I don't know. I don't have an athletic, applicable functionality, optimized modality to my training. I don't even like calling it training per se. I like saying I'm lifting, fucking getting some. But pushing yourself beyond what's prudent, having a baseline of prudency implies a higher order reason for lifting besides just fucking lifting. And to me, I mean, it's just that simple. You just got to lift. Why? Why every day? Raises my spirits. Raises my spirits, man. It's that simple. It fires me up. It gives me energy. It gives me a win every single day. The body results are obviously great. And as the body gains and muscle gains and body recompositions and checking those boxes off the to-do list and getting better at a thing, it's all only good. It's all only good. It's a series of constant accomplishments dictated only by what I put into it. Up to a point. Up to a point. There's obviously physical limitations, but if you never even try something and then blame physical limitations, well, how am I going to ever bench 500 pounds? I'm only 5'10". Motherfucker, at least try to get to three, and that's a principle. There's virtues involved. And as we were talking about all this kind of stuff, I said, sometimes that obsession, because he was saying that he was just going too hard, doing 3 a days while playing sports. And I'm like, damn, well, I respect that grind. Maybe I'm in the wrong for putting that kind of grind on a level of esteem. That's up to speculation. I said sometimes that obsession is a spiritual pursuit, I think, so it's real tricky to say it's just an ego thing. But I also don't think ego is even only bad, but it does have a very negative, bad connotation to it, which is interesting. And he said, you can't convolute ego and drive. That's wise. Thank you, my dude. I appreciate that. I'm happy to have a cool conversation like that first thing in the motherfucking morning and talk about it online to some people, you know? And I think it's one of those tension points. I think it's fascinating. What's that fine line between accomplishment driven by ego and accomplishment driven by, drive? Fascinating stuff. It's a line we all walk. And his comment back on that was, "That's why virtue is a fine line. Virtue is a fine line. Arete, excellence is a fine line." It's not a fine line? The fact that I got to get the fuck out of here so I can go lift. Happy Friday, everybody. Thanks for hanging out with me on this fine Friday morning. An edition of BS with B. Hannas. That's me, Nikki B. Hannas. You can find this YouTube talk show live on YouTube most mornings, few mornings a week at BS with B. Hannas. It goes out to Spotify podcasts, Apple podcasts, Amazon podcasts, so on and so forth. You want to find some music? My music, heavy blues metal, NikkiBHannas.com, NikkiBHannas.bandcamp.com, Nikki B. Hannas on all streaming services. I got another YouTube channel too, at Nikki B. Hannas. Some live footage on there, some music videos, jam track. What the fuck is it called? Drawing a blank. Totally drawing a blank. Backing track jam series. Yeah, just first takes, just playing some guitar. Playing some guitar out here on the internet. Keeping it real. Keep ripping. You want to see everything? Patreon.com/NikkiBHannas. One consolidated feed of all the stuff that I do. If you want to support, that's the option out there. As I keep ripping, building, getting better, growing, so on and so forth. Right now, I keep talking. Time to cut that shit out. Nikki B. Hannas. Keep it real. One love. Happy Friday. Peace.
Manifestations of all this scarcity. Press in the corner.